Thinking about a continuing care retirement community, a CCRC? Here's some of the things you need to be thinking about. Welcome to the Heritage Wealth Planning YouTube channel, my friends, the place you come to find out about retirement, assisted living, CCRCs, continuing care retirement facilities, nursing homes, but all kinds of stuff financial planning related. Social Security, how to reduce your taxes, how to make sure you retire in the lifestyle that you want. Everything under the sun financial related, you've come to the right place. So don't forget to hit that little button right there to subscribe. We do a video a day here, so you want to be kept in the know of all the varying financial planning related topics. In this episode, we are going to focus on CCRCs. I actually found, let me minimize myself, I belong to this group called Horse's Mouth, and the Horse's Mouth is just, they have the Savvy Social Security planning, which is just absolutely phenomenal. I've been part of this, I guess almost 15 years now, I think. And they just have this list of various articles I look at on a daily basis that just interests me to no end. And this is the one I came up with today, which is from CNBC, that's published July 8th, July 2018. Do your homework before moving into retirement communities. And the reason this caught my attention is because I work with a lot of folks who are considering CCRCs, and I've been working with a lot of folks for a long time on this. And actually, the number of continuing care retirement communities has grown almost 2,000 now. That was amazing. I didn't realize there were that many out there nowadays. I remember when I lived in Virginia in the Shenandoah Valley, there was one called the Virginia Mennonite Retirement Community, VMRC, and that wasn't cheap. It wasn't cheap at all. You didn't have to be a Mennonite to belong there, but I remember that was the big one in town. They had another one in Bridgewater, the Bridgewater Retirement Community, which I think that was non-denominational. I can't remember. But anyway, that wasn't cheap either. A little bit less expensive than VMRC. But anyway, so CCRCs are popping up all over the place for sure. These are different than assisted living facilities. Just let me advise you there. Assisted living facilities, I might do an episode on that in a different day, but CCRCs are different than assisted living facilities. Actually, a long time ago, when I just got out of the Army and I was going to college, I was a security guard at the first CCRC that I was ever informed of. This was in Occoquan, Lake Ridge, Virginia. I'll never forget that. I was a security guard there, and I had no clue what it was. It's just, old people moving in is what I thought it was. But it turns out what happens, they had these little independent units, these little cottages. And then they moved the cottages as they got ill or whatever into more care. And then they finally moved to the nursing home side. So it's basically step by step. You had their husband and wife would have these little cottages. They'd move once Alzheimer's kick in or something like that. Usually the husband would move into a more of a care, ongoing care 24/7 arrangement. And then from there, go to the nursing home. And I remember being a security guard many times, being called in to escort when they had called the ambulances and whatnot, because someone fell, someone broke their hip. It was interesting actually, because I worked the third shift, 8 p.m. to 4 a.m. or something like that, or 8, or maybe 10 to 6 is what it was, 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. And during the night, all kinds of crazy stuff would happen. It was interesting. It was a very interesting experience for sure. Ambulances called, and you got to go and help out, move people around. It was definitely an interesting experience for sure. That was the first CCRC community I've ever been aware of, and it was interesting. But anyway, so I'm working right now with clients, and they're looking at a CCRC here in Georgia, in Lake Lanier. And we dive into this pretty deeply, actually, things they need to be looking at, things they need to be just considering of. And so it actually was a good opportunity for me to read this article to you. I won't read it verbatim, but we'll go over it. So in case this is something on your mind, or probably even more for your parents, maybe. I get that a lot nowadays with children. I've got some folks coming in tomorrow who are looking at going to a CCRC or staying in their house, and we're kind of debating that. And so we're going to talk about that tomorrow too. All right, so let's talk about what the CCRC things that you should be looking at, the homework you should be doing before you move into one. Continuing care retirement communities allow retirees to remain in one facility for the duration. So again, basically start there when you're in good health. I mean, you literally have a townhome, you have a cottage, you got your car, you do whatever you want. They do have a chow hall facility where you can go get very good living, eating arrangements and whatnot. They have all the amenities you could possibly want, at least in the higher end ones. They're fantastic. It's like a college, except you're not going to school there. Lots of stuff going on there. They provide independent care, assisted living. That's what it is. Independent care where you're doing on your own, but you have the doctors there and whatnot. Assisted living where you're now moving into where they look after you on a regular basis, and then nursing home care where they're looking after you 24/7. Upfront costs can exceed $100,000 and even hit $2 million. I've yet to see one that's $100,000. The ones I've seen typically are going to be the value of an average person's home in that area. So let me give you an example. The one here we're looking at in Lake Lanier, I think the upfront cost is $300,000. The initial, basically get in fee. It costs $300 initially to get in. And lo and behold, that's the average value of a home in that particular area of Georgia. That's exactly what they do. The CCRCs aren't stupid. Their actuaries say, we're going to run the numbers. The average person or the couple that has a home that they're going to sell to move in here, the home will be worth $200,000, $300,000, $400,000. So the average one's $300,000. Hopefully they don't have any debt in it, but they'll have $300,000 equity. They're going to sell it, and we'll use that equity to buy the cottage or the townhome or the care that we have here. That's your purchase fee essentially. That's what way it goes. I've yet to see anything close to $100,000. Even back when I was in Shenandoah Valley, it wasn't $100,000 back then, and that was 15 years ago. Continuing care communities give we talked about that. Okay, often retirees. Well, we talked about that too. And again, and then, that's what it says. So often retirees will shell out a initial fee plus monthly payments as well, and those are usually going to run you about $5,000 to $6,000 a month. At least again, the ones I'm pretty familiar with. And that includes everything. That includes lawn maintenance. That includes your utilities. That includes the care that they provide. That includes like usually 2 meals a day for husband and wife. And generally speaking, that's going to be about Social Security is probably going to kick in probably a little bit more than half of that. And so the rest is got to come from your own assets. So let's just say it costs $5,000 a year. That's $5,000 a month. That's $60,000 a year. You get $30,000 from Social Security. That means you got to come up with $2,500 a month from your own savings to cover the rest of that cost. I have seen some. They have inflation riders on there, so you get to kind of choose how much you want to be for inflation. If you want to basically lock in that monthly fee, if you do that, you're going to pay a pretty significant amount on the front end. I've seen others where they can raise the fees to the extent that the cost, they can say that at the end of the day, it costs us this. Thus, we're going to push it back to you, and you have no clue what the fees are going to be, and that's always kind of risky too. So it really depends on of the 2,000 that you're looking at, what the service that they're going to offer is and how much they charge. But remember, the two things you got to consider: the get-in fee, how much does it cost to purchase a unit, and then secondly, how much the monthly payment is going to cost. Let's see here. For many people, even though this is the largest, this actually is pretty interesting. I found Bernard Crooks, an elder law attorney in New York City, says for many people, this is the largest purchase of their lives, and they put a good chunk of the retirement savings in, and yet many are penny wise and pound foolish. And he gives this example. This is astonishing to me. One of his clients paid $2 million up front to reside in a continuing care community. The retiree's family is supposed to get 90% back if he moves out or dies there, regardless of how long he resides there. So at the end, that in of itself, that sounds great. Like I'm putting in $2 million, and then when I die, my family's going to get 1.8 million back, regardless if I'm there for 100 years or if I'm there for 5. Now that seems, obviously what happens is that CCRC gets access to that $2 million to invest it, to do whatever they want. So in some ways they're taking your money and they're using it to make upgrades to get other people to spend their $2 million in there, which they could use that money for other things. That kind of concerns me some. Let's just put it that way. But at the end of the day, he's getting 90% of his money back. And you're like, oh, that's no big deal. It only cost me ultimately $200,000 to move in. Keep listening. We're going to dive into that. Refund policy will vary from one facility to another. At the end we talked about this. There's almost 2,000 CCRCs, and they're only adding more and more. Go to any kind of more affluent suburb, and you're going to see these CCRC things going up like crazy. Is interesting, actually. So here's what you should know before you decide to live in one: the amenities, for sure. And some of these, if you look at them, some of these amenities are just fantastic. They have just pools, all kinds of activities. Again, going back to basically 15, 20 years ago, the one at VMRC in Harrisonburg, Virginia. I mean, Harrisonburg, Virginia is a tiny little town in a tiny little county in the western part of the state. And they had amenities like you wouldn't believe. It was awesome. I mean, food as much as you possibly want, just all kinds of classes, libraries, you name it, they had there. It's actually pretty cool for sure. So you got to look at the amenities. Though the independent living facilities are showstoppers, you should also check out assisted living. And so we're talking right now about independent living. So what they're saying is, though the independent living facilities are the showstoppers, you should also check out their assisted living and nursing home care departments as well. So remember, in a CCRC, you got independent living, one part of it. You got the assisted living as a second part of it. And then you got the third part, which is nursing home. Now, we do have assisted living solely units out there. They're just assisted living facilities. And I'm just telling you, we're going to have to do a video on that because people are actually renting out their homes for assisted living facilities. And that concerns me deeply. And I don't know enough about it to pass judgment, but when I was kind of doing a little bit of research on this right here, I found something. He's like, that doesn't look good to me. And then, of course, you just got straight nursing care departments where your mom's got Alzheimer's and you can't take care of her 24/7 because you got to work and raise a kid. So you put her in a nursing home facility. Some are better than others, no other way around that. And the ones on Medicaid facilities, God bless the people who work there. Hopefully someone's doing it for labor of love, but man, those facilities leave a lot to be desired in terms of where you want to spend your latter part of your life. And you can't, I don't blame the people there, the Medicaid facility employees, not in the least. I mean, they're just doing the best they can. But the facts are that's where all the indigent people go. It's sad. It is. There's no other place for them to go. And there's only so much money that the taxpayer can use to support these people. And so because of that, the Medicaid facilities as nursing home care, I mean, it's tough. VA will be maybe a little bit better. I haven't been in a VA facility in a long time in that regard, but I have been in Medicaid facilities, and it's not as pleasant as an experience as a true, more affluent nursing home facility that usually starts off as CCRC, assisted living, to nursing home, and that's just because they got more money. There's just no other way around it. More money, better staff, better amenities. Walk through the memory cares with Alzheimer's places and nursing cares and ask, are people getting help from the staff? I mean, you got to understand that people are sitting around in the halls in their wheelchairs like this, for hours on end, and it smells like poop in there. That's probably saying they're not getting help from the staff. Just ask. And some of the people will be a little bit more sober than others in terms of not being drunk, in terms of the ability to pass a good assessment. So you got to do your due diligence and actually asking parents, or not parents, the loved ones of the family members that are in there is probably your best bet. That's what I would do for sure. If you're thinking about this for your parents, if you're soon to be or retiree thinking about going in there, well, just ask the people that are in the facility with you. That you can't get a better person to tell you about that than them. I just wondered, that'd probably be the best bet. At the end of the day, though, if they've already committed, say, $400,000 to that facility, I don't know. That'd be something. I'm just thinking out loud. Let's say they've already committed $400,000 to the facility and they're not happy. Do they have any incentive to steer you wrong? I don't know. But then again, if are they likely to go to another facility? I don't know. You just got to talk to people, and you'll let your judgment, your gut, guide you there. I thought this was right here. Another reason to look closely at your continuing care community center is if the independent living quarters are sparsely occupied. I tell you, when I was in the one as a security guard up in Lakewood, Virginia, they had some upstairs ones, and they were literally just building out. I mean, it's brand spanking new, but I'd go take a nap. It's like 3 a.m. So I'd go upstairs with my book and fall asleep in some of the unoccupied spaces just because it's 3 a.m. I was tired. I had school the next day. So just keep that in mind. If they're sparsely occupied, there might be financial troubles ahead. And that's kind of going back to what I was saying about how much negativity are you really going to hear from someone who's already committed their substantial portion of their life savings to this place. I mean, if they say this place stinks, it's horrible, it's bad, you shouldn't have come here, that's not going to do good for the overall financial security of them getting their money back if they decide to leave. So I just, again, go with your gut. And I thought this was pretty interesting here. In some cases, lower than 90% occupancy could suggest an issue with being able to fill units with new residents. In fact, the one we're talking about that I was talking about here up in Lake Lanier, they have a 3 to 4 month waiting list. So we're not worried about the occupancy rates because they have a waiting list, which means they have more people trying to get in than they have units available. That's a good sign for sure. High demand, low turnover, that's what you want to see. That just means people are staying in there and they're content. They might not be happy, but they're content, and that's what you want. And like this guy says, a low occupancy would be an indicator of problems in the future potentially. Further, when continuing care, this is what I want to talk about. So this guy says he put the $2 million down. He's going to get 90% back when he dies or leaves. Okay, but that's contingent that they have the money to pay it back. And that's a big issue right there. I mean, just because they say they do, I mean, don't forget, the airlines told their freaking pilots that they had the money to provide pensions of $5,000 to $6,000 a month. And if not, it was backed by PBGC, the Pension Benefit Guarantee Corporation. Well, it didn't happen. And PBGC only backed them about $3,300 a month max. If even that, was it 33? I think it was 33. I can't remember. It's like $3,300 a month max. But they're told they had the money, and they're told it's guaranteed, and it's just simply not true. So just because you have a guarantee, well, the guarantee is only as good as the claims paying ability of the company that's issuing it. If the company is issuing goes bankrupt, guess what happens to your guarantee? It goes kaput. In that case, another provider may buy out a struggling facility, potentially to change the services and fees. Exactly. At $1.8 million that this guy right here was talking, not this guy, this other guy, Zabolski was talking about, is completely contingent on the ability of the firm to be able to manage his finances well. And the problem, again, is what are they doing with that money? Are they using that? I hate to even go down this road, but are they using that to build up the facility to charm other people to give money? The last fool theory is that, I'm going to give you 1.8 million. He's going to give you 1.9. He's going to give you 2 million. And the last fool is a person that gets stuck with holding the wet bag. I'm not saying, I just don't know, but that would concern me. What are they doing with that 1.8 million? Are they putting it in government bonds? Are they putting it to expand and using it in marketing? You got to know this stuff. And just because they say there's a guarantee, doesn't necessarily mean it's so. And again, it doesn't mean they're cheating you. I don't want to come across like that. I'm just saying that's a lot of chunk right there, a lot of scratch that is contingent on the ability of the firm to manage it well. And that's anytime you're putting your entire life savings on there, that is a concern. Here's what I thought was pretty interesting, actually. CCRs are regulated by the states in which they're based. The degree with which those regulators will scrutinize communities will vary. Now, a couple of things jump out at me. The first thing is, I'll show you the chart of the various regulator states, and let's just dive into it. So we'll see right here, unregulated, whereas California, 1 year principal and interest payments is what their cash reserve requirements are. So you can see that Connecticut is heavily regulated, and a lot of them, Alaska, none, Arizona. So the question that always comes up to me is regulation does not implies, but it's not explicitly guarantee safety. All right. This is where we go back to the Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac debacle of the early 2000s. Everyone and their mom were buying Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac. It was definitely the bonds, stock. I can't remember, but anyway, we're buying the bonds, and particularly, there was no stock in those. No, there wasn't. It's just bonds. Yeah, it was just bonds. It's not stock, the bonds, because Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac had the implicit guarantee, the federal government guarantee, implicitly, because it's regulated heavily. What was explicitly regulated heavily was Ginnie Mae, Government National Mortgage Association. And unfortunately, everyone threw Ginnie Mae, Freddie Mac, and Fannie Mae into the same bucket. And it was not the same bucket. Freddie and Fannie had implicit, Ginnie Mae had explicit. What happened to those bonds in 2007? Fannie and Freddie should have gone kaput. They should no longer be in existence, should be gone, because they just were horribly run. Franklin Raines and all these guys politicians made tons and tons and tons of money. Were they traded publicly? I'm drawing a blank if those were stocks. I think they were. Anyway, so Fannie Mae in particular, Franklin Raines, I'll never forget then, what's her name, Gorelick from 2000, Bill Clinton's time, Jamie Gorelick, who was the one who made the CIA and FBI separate their level of knowledge so that way they could not tell each other about the 9/11 terrorists. All these guys just made tons of money by Fannie and Freddie. And then 2007 comes along, and these guys can't pay. I mean, they couldn't pay the mailman. And so they all went kaput. Of course, the government came in and backed them up. But if you were the bondholder, and again, if there were stocks, I've just drawn a blank, you got screwed. There's just no two ways around that. Now, Franklin Raines didn't, Jamie Gorelick didn't, but you did. The shareholder who thought the implicit guarantee of the feds meant it was explicit. Now, if you held Ginnie Mae, and Ginnie Mae is definitely not publicly traded, it's government guaranteed bonds that back VA loans. You actually made money in 2008. Your fund was up 7.24, the Ginnie Mae fund over Vanguard or USA, one of those funds. Vanguard did well too. Both of the Ginnie Mae funds on USA and Vanguard, whatever Ginnie Mae's are out there, did fine. Fannie and Freddie went kaput. You lost everything in Freddie and Fannie, but you made money in 2008 with Ginnie because Ginnie Mae had the explicit guarantee of the federal government. Fannie and Freddie did not. So when I see these things like regulated, regulated implies implicitly that it's safe. I look at Fannie and Freddie. I say you can't think that. Now, does it mean it's any less safe than Alabama and unregulated? I don't know. I literally don't know. But just because they're regulated doesn't mean the government is any better at looking at the books than you are. And we know that for a fact just by looking at Fannie and Freddie. I hope this helps. Again, I'm not trying to go on a diatribe. Raines and Jamie Gorelick, just all they were government people. And somehow they got rich off the government while everyone else took it on the chin. And I mean, Freddie and Fannie, we had grandmas whose life savings were in these things. The whole thing is just wrong. It's not just the Democrats either. My goodness, or Trent Lott and his group, they do the same thing. I mean, just go to Mississippi, see all these buildings named after Trent Lott. It's just, you're sitting there, it's disgusting. And it is the way it is. All right. So for some instance, states require that communities have their contracts approved by regulators, and their policies must address how and why monthly fees may increase according to GAO, Government Accounting Office. Okay. That's great. That doesn't mean anything necessarily at the end of the day. It just means there's another hoop these guys got to jump through to get the regulators off their back. It doesn't inherently mean they're going to be safer or not. And if I got $2 million at stake, I'm not trusting that these regulators know any more than I do to read the books for sure. All right. Prospective residents should reach out to the agency that oversees CCRCs within a state. Okay. It probably can't hurt. And again, the letter that this guy had written on, I thought was pretty good. But at the end of the day, don't bank on just because they're regulated to mean anything. You just got to look more than that. So here's some of the questions. How much of your entry fee is refundable? So remember, the entry fee is generally speaking the average cost of the home that you're going to sell in that community. $300,000, $250,000, $400,000, whatever. Your home is $300,000. That's your entry fee. And if you think about it like that, you're probably pretty safe. How much of that will be returned? 90% refund is pretty high, but whatever that is, and they're going to say they return that much. Well, I want to know how. How are they going to get that? Many contracts will say that you or your heirs will receive a refund once your unit is reoccupied. So basically, that means in some ways, if you die, you hope someone else can come up there right away so your heirs can get the money back. You just got to look at the contract for sure. Can we see your balance sheets? Now, I've never done that. I've yet to have anyone do that, but that's probably not a bad idea. Highlights include the audited financial statements, right here, long-term debt to ratio, the debt to asset ratio. I think that's pretty important, actually. How much debt? Now, a lot of these are going to have a lot of debt, so it's like a bank. Bank's got tons of debt because they're loaning it out. Now, the bank will say that's an asset on their balance sheet. It is because they're going to get the money back. But at the end of the day, whenever you're dealing in loans that are secured by just cash flow, by a signature loan or whatever, that's still debt outstanding, and you hope you can get it back. And so you want to see long-term debt to total assets. Now, these companies are not going to be debt-free, at least if they're building. But that'd be something for you to look at for sure. Do you work with an actuarial firm? I think that'd make absolutely sense. Actuarial firms help the CCRCs determine whether their pricing is adequate for the residency contracts, ensure that they're setting aside reserves for future obligations. Now, not all states require this. All right, so just remember, with long-term care insurance, all right, they did work with actuarial firms there too back in the 80s and 90s, and guess what? everyone miscalculated everything. So again, just like regulation, having actuaries looking at the numbers and crunching the numbers in of itself does not protect your assets. It does not. It just simply doesn't. We've seen so many examples of this that, the black swan. I don't even want to call it a black swan because that sounds like it's something that could not be foreseen. You can see that people are living longer. Obviously, hindsight's 2020, but at the end of the day, don't just, we got actuaries. Okay, they must be good. We got regulators, must be good. No. And find out, this is what I like right here. What's your monthly cost going to change or charge? Well, change. Yeah. Find out, what your monthly cost is going to charge. Absolutely. And what is the likelihood of increasing? Does it increase every year? Does it increase every quarter? Does it not increase? Whatever. You got to find out, because you're paying $6,000 a month, and 5 years from now, you're paying $8,000 a month. And your Social Security has only been growing at 2% a year, and that's all going to pay Medicare increases. And your market is down 25% because whatever Trump or Obama or whatever politician you hate is doing something, that could be problematic for sure. What happens if the increases go beyond your ability to pay? I don't know. It's a good question to ask. So I found all that pretty interesting, actually. So I hope this helps you. Continuing care retirement communities, I actually like them. I think they're cool. I mean, do I want to? I'm 48. I don't know if I want to live in one, but the ones I've seen for the clients I've dealt with, they couldn't be happier. And that's fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. Catholic Church has some. Again, the Mennonite community, I'm not sure about Baptists, Protestants. I guarantee they do. I'm sure Mormons do. I'm sure there's all kinds of different ones you can belong to, various organizations, whatnot. So definitely look into them. There's 2,000. They're growing all the time. But do your homework. That's what you got to do for sure. So I hope you find this helpful. If you do, as always, subscribe down below. Don't forget to hit the notification button because, like I said, there's just tons of stuff to talk about, and forever goes on the list of things I want to engage in, and some things I get to sooner than others, but this is one I think is pretty important just because I'm dealing with it right now with a client who actually called me today. So definitely look into it for sure. The thumbs up, always helpful, my friends. If you have experience with continuing care facilities, I'd love to hear them. And again, we'll do another one on assisted living facilities specifically to that area of the retirement market, because again, that does pose some thoughts and questions there too. So look forward to seeing you next time on the Heritage Wealth Planning YouTube channel. As always, don't forget to go to the blog at heritagewealthplanning.com. We'll see you next time. Thanks, guys.